If you watch all this video, you will learn how to use the first conditional. And that's an example in first conditional. Hey everyone, I'm Sar, and this is a video on the first conditional. First, we're going to check the uses, then we're going to talk a little bit about the grammar, and finally, 3 and 4, details and common mistakes that you should avoid. So, without further ado, let's start. Okay, wait a minute. I want you to give me examples of first conditional once you finish watching this video, okay? So, post that in the comments. So the one thing we have to keep in mind is that the first conditional is to express basically real things, real possibilities and real consequences, okay? So the first use we're going to have here is to express cause and effect. Again, they have to be real. For example, if you don't wear a scarf, you will be cold. Here we have a real possibility, and here we have a real consequence. It's possible, but we don't know if it is 100% sure. Another use that we have here is to show the consequences. Pretty similar to the last one, but it's another way to say cause and effect. Consequences. If Andrew keeps skipping class, he won't learn a thing. Poor Andrew. Okay, so that's a consequence. But that's not the only thing we can express. We can actually express possible events based on the present. So, people won't be better unless we invest more in education. You see what I did here? Yeah, I'm gonna explain that later. Okay, so let's dissect this example to see the grammar. If you eat too much, you will get an upset stomach. Okay, we know that this is a real possibility and a real consequence. Now, what's behind this sentence? I think we're gonna need some colors, so I'm going to divide the parts in two different colors. 1, 2, 3. Okay, part 1. We have a pink side and we have the yellow side. In the pink side, we have the if clause. This is the clause that has the conditional word. In this case, we're going to use if. Without this, we don't have a conditional sentence. If you eat too much. As you can see the structure uses the present simple. On the other side, we have the yellow part. The yellow part is going to have the consequence, and it's going to use will. You will get an upset stomach. So as you can see, if you eat too much, you will get an upset stomach. What happened there? Sorry. So, pay attention. We separate this with a comma, and that's kind of important. I know some people may have issues with the third person, so we're going to use an example here with the third person. If Katie quits her job, the company will lose an asset, something or someone really important. So, Katie quits. As you can see, we have to have the conjugation of the third person. Again, it's the if clause, so we have to follow the rules of the present simple. The other part doesn't matter because will, it's the same regardless of the subject or noun. So that's easy. So remember, the third person and anything connected to a present simple is going to happen in the if clause. Okay, if there are any details to talk about is that, starting with if is not our only option. Again, I'm going to be using this example just because we know it already. So, is it possible to take this from another approach? Yep. So, but I'm gonna need some colors, so give me a sec. Okay, so there we have it. You will get an upset stomach if you eat too much. Well, we can invert this structure. It's pretty easy. We just have to invert the positions of everything. Keep in mind that maybe you have to think about the subject in some cases. And second notation, can you notice something kind of weird here? Still no idea? Okay, I'm going to continue explaining. Maybe you're going to notice. Where was I? Oh yeah, the first part now is going to be the part with will. And the second part, the part in present simple. So, saying this is pretty normal. The only thing that you may want to consider is that with this form, the meaning is not affected, but the emphasis is. I'm making more emphasis on the consequence. Still no idea? Okay, I'm going to tell you the one thing that maybe you didn't notice. You are not using any commas here. When we invert the structure, we don't use commas. Yeah, that's it. There are some alternatives to the use of if. So, here we have some of them. Unless. We can say it is kind of the contrary of if and with the same function, showing a possibility and then we show a consequence. Unless you get a better internet connection, you won't play online well. Internet and lag kind of get along. Next one, as long as. As long as Andrew keeps skipping class, he won't learn anything. I know, it's the same example I used before, but you see, we can change as long as for if or if for as long as, and it's about the same thing. And well, there are some cases where we can say things like because. I know it doesn't look like a connection for conditionals, but I'm explaining. People won't be better because we don't invest more in education. I'm explaining reasoning, and that's actually kind of a conditional statement too. This is a tricky question. Is whether the same thing as if? Not here. No. In conditionals, definitely we don't use whether for conditionals. It makes it confusing. Whether is usually used when we're going to present either two options or a choice or a destiny, but when it works as a connector. And when they are connectors, whether and if are the same. But here, hear me out. We are talking about conditionals, not connectors. So that's a different topic. So whether and if are the same thing in a different topic, not in this one. So mistakes are part of learning anyway, but there are some common ones that I find kind of a pet peeve in my case. Well, the first one. Yeah, we are not going to use will in the if clause. Some people say things like, if I will go there, no, that sounds horrible. No, if I will doesn't exist. There's no way we're going to do that combination. So remove that. Is if I go. We use present simple, not future. We use the future in the second part. I know. Common mistakes are usually connected to grammar, but bear with me. If Camila called me, I will ask her out. That sentence is incorrect. Come on. Camila called me. Conjugation, it's pretty important. So, what we have to do it? Well, we have to make sure we conjugate the verb. If Camila calls me, I will ask her out. Yeah. If you say the first one, I bet Camila is going to say no. But let's imagine Camila said no. Camila said no. Let's imagine the situation and let's create a conditional. If Camila don't accept my invitation, well, she didn't accept your invitation because your grammar is horrible. If Camila doesn't accept my invitation, you see? So we have to make sure we are using the correct auxiliaries and the correct conjugation of the verb. And that's it. That's the only thing that we have to keep in mind in case of mistakes. And that's it for the first conditional. We are going to check the other conditional cases in other videos. So if it worked for you and it helped you, subscribe and like the video. I also want to see your examples in the comments, okay? So without further ado, I'm out of here. Cesar out. Bye. Take care.